Hi, YouTube world.
Hey guys,
Welcome back to
Mad Mix.
I'm your host, Mary.
Tiara here.
Welcome back to another episode.
Woo, woo, woo. Another one. I don't want to say going against the wind, but it's a little windy out here.
We're fighting the wind. We can say that.
I'm not fighting the wind.
The wind is fighting us.
I can't. It will win. On today's topic, we are going to talk about something that is
apparently more controversial than we thought.
Yeah, it is very.
What inspired today's video is the recent viral TikTok, which I will insert for you here so you can, in case you live under a rock or you're not chronically online like me, you will just kind of see what we're talking about first. But so without further ado, let's jump right into the video.
8 minutes until I walk down the aisle. Hiding in the bathroom.
As you saw there, a young lady, beautiful young lady,
was getting
married.
Wedding day.
And she decided to record herself moments before she walked down the aisle, barefaced and all. And it sparked some outrage, some not very, inspiring, but also some pretty,
hateful comments.
There's more than hateful comments, but it inspired a conversation that a lot of women, we kind of, we tiptoe around maybe, or we don't really have a very honest conversation about, and that is makeup. And if makeup is something that, what does it mean for us women? What is the idea of makeup? How do we see women that don't wear makeup? And so that's kind of what inspired the conversation today. And what the biggest thing that stood out to me about that viral video is the fact that people were commenting on a woman that they had no clue about, and how ultimately makeup comes down to so many different aspects. And that's kind of what we wanted to tackle and jump right into. So yeah, let's talk about it.
The way we talk about makeup in society, especially us women, because it's definitely a women topic, right, is almost a double-sided. And it's very telling that it is become a world of illusions. Makeup is viewed as almost you portraying something other than, and not only that, it's also used as a crutch to not work on the things that you need to address, right? And the view on, or the video that she just explained to us, it kind of told us that is where our mentality is when it comes to makeup, is that it's almost as if you have to wear it. Like, you don't really get a choice, or you have to present yourself in a certain light or a certain way, or you're not really perceived as beautiful or as glamorous, in the eyes of society.
I find that sometimes society feels like makeup is used as a weapon, and it's used to basically create a fake version of yourself. But I don't really think that's the most, nuanced perspective when it comes to how women use makeup, how we use it in two different ways. So that's kind of what we want to jump right into first.
Covering with makeup, or are you enhancing your own beauty with makeup? And I wanted to talk about the view of makeup that I had prior to the confidence that I have now at my grown age, right? Is that when I was much younger, I felt like I used makeup to cover some insecurities and things of that nature. And I never really saw myself as socially, or I didn't really see myself as beautiful without makeup. And so I did use it to cover my flaws in that way. So versus where enhancement, what I do now is I focus on the blemishes that I have, and I uniquely apply makeup to enhance my own beauty. And it's almost like there's a subtle difference that you can tell when it's like when you're trying to cover up something versus when you're enhancing. And it's more of an art form now for me than it before, where it was like used as a crutch in a way. And so that's the two aspects that we also wanted to go deeper in.
There's women that feel like they use makeup to cover, or feel like they're using it because they feel like they have to, and they're used to seeing their face with makeup, versus those who know and understand the power and need this idea of like glamour magic, or this idea of using makeup as a tool to appear better, you know? The young lady in the video, she admitted that she never wore makeup.
I grew up at a church that you weren't really allowed to wear makeup. So like I grew up not really being allowed to wear makeup. So I never learned about makeup. I never really got into makeup because I simply wasn't allowed to wear it. So as an adult, I just never really got into it. And so when I got engaged, that's something that I really contemplated with, because like a lot of y'all said, it is my wedding. Like, who does not want to look the best on their wedding? But I decided against it because as I was doing research and things, it's hundreds and sometimes even thousands of dollars to get makeup for your wedding. And I didn't want to spend that money and I didn't want to spend that money and possibly not like the makeup and not like how I looked on my wedding day. So after doing my research and like really thinking about it, I decided I was just gonna go natural, what I was used to, what my husband's used to seeing me like, and essentially everyone else at the wedding. So yeah, that kind of went into that decision. Literally all my bridesmaids wore makeup. It was so funny, while we were in the getting ready suite, all of them were like doing their makeup that morning, and I was literally sitting there chilling like, y'all look good. But yeah, that was in no way hate or like saying I'm better because I didn't wear makeup. I literally just saw the trend and I wanted to jump on it. Maybe I shouldn't have.
I feel like we get used to our face under a certain kind of light, and we get used to presenting ourselves to the world in a certain way. Similar to when you start getting lashes or getting lashed, and then when you stop getting lashed, you were like, oh shit, like this is like, I don't look good. Or people that get fillers and they don't stop because they start, almost getting used to how their face looks in a certain way. Mm-hmm. So I think the conversation that really irritated me about that in that moment was that this young lady was not like it's not like she was wearing makeup and that day she made a statement not to wear makeup. It's not that and also, it made me think about she talked about part of the barrier to her not having her makeup done that day was money. Her not wanting to spend all this money on a makeup artist. And I wonder if she had access to money, would she have just gotten it for just shits and giggles and kind of seen if she liked it? And maybe she would have liked it. And that
she pointed out that she didn't want to spend that much amount of money, right, and her have, look over the pictures after and not like her makeup.
Yeah. Or even, I know there's valid, which is, there's a process, right? When you hire a makeup artist, they come and do a practice look on you.
Right.
If she didn't mind spending that money and be like, okay, I'll have them come and do a practice look on me. If I like it, great. If I don't, I'll go barefaced. That wasn't her situation.
Right.
She just didn't have the access to even get her makeup done. So it makes me think about like people's relationship. That lady is obviously not in a relationship where, she's marrying somebody for money, or she's marrying somebody because they see her as this kind of like
we don't
object.
Know that. We don't know that.
But we know that she didn't have the money,
right,
to get her makeup done. We know that she said that me and my husband loves me for the way I am. Her husband is not necessarily looking at her in a more superficial way, as maybe some other relationships where maybe you and your partner is more superficial. Maybe your husband would want you to make sure you have a beat face and look, quote unquote, your best, which, goes back to what does it looking your best mean, mm-hmm. And for me, makeup is a tool that then enhances you to look a certain type of way. If you know how to do your makeup, you learn, right? Because the way you did your makeup in middle school or in high school, you look back and you're like, what was I thinking?
Exactly.
It took time and practice to kind of learn your face, learn how you enhance this, how you take this away, how you minimize maybe things you want to minimize or expand things you want to expand. It's magic, basically.
It is.
And if you know how to play around in it, it's something that it's fun. And it's something that, it's like an advantage. As women, we're meant to compete. So if you're competing, why would you not do whatever you can to give you the best advantage? That lady had her hair done in that video. She was wearing a dress, not like she showed up in rags with hair that looked like she just rolled out of bed. No, she looked nice. She did what she could, right? What made her feel good. She's probably used to getting her hair done. She's probably used to, when she goes on a nice date, dressing nice.
Right.
So for her, that was her expectation and that was her barometer. For you, it might mean getting lashed, getting your nails done, getting your toes done, getting a Brazilian, getting a wax, getting a filler, getting your lashes done, we all have different levels to how we show up for ourselves in a beauty sense. And it's not our place to judge the next person because we don't understand their goals and also their limitations or even just, their perspective.
Exactly. And beauty is, right? Going back to glamour magic and essentially what it is that you have to have this confident and it has confidence about yourself, right? You have to the beauty is within. You're bringing it out and almost creating this image of yourself and how you want to present yourself to this world, right? Because at the end of the day, this is all a game, right? And us, how we show up, how we present ourselves, it tells us, or it tells a story, right? And that's the thing, right? For so long, and even ancient text, women being in tune with themselves, and even how the cosmetics came into place with ancient Egypt, and how powerful that was. So whenever we are, dabbling in the world of magic and creating this avatar, right? Essentially creating this avatar that is going to be the representation of what you think beauty is such a powerful thing. It has to be done in a way where you have to know that that beauty comes within first and foremost, and merge that with the cosmetics, with the colors that you want to present yourself. It's like an outfit, right? You just say it's an enhancement. It's not covering up, because that lies and that ties with the insecurities that you have about yourself. And it sounds like a lot of those comments, especially the negative comments that were in her video, were people that obviously are not secure and they don't see beauty in what it is. Beauty is not created, it just is. So that tells me that they're completely judging her. One, because they don't understand the concept of somebody feeling whole and showing up as who they are. She truly looked radiant to me. That beauty came within. This woman is beautiful to me because her spirit was beautiful, right? And so what? She didn't use makeup, so what? She didn't want to present herself on her wedding day in that manner. I think she's allowed to do that. And we should all be allowed to express ourselves in the way that we want to express ourselves. We cannot judge people and how they want to show up in this world. We have to be okay with not everyone agreeing what the standards of beauty is, right? And we've talked about that several times in our videos.
And celebrate that we live in a world where we have choice.
Exactly.
There's probably a time where if you did not,
There's a ladybug.
Good luck. I think it's about celebrating the choice that we have now. You can find somebody to marry. They're really like, you could tell that she and her husband, are connected on just, seeing each other and showing up as authentic. And I think that's another thing. Like, people were like, oh, like, she's so brave that she didn't wear makeup. Is it brave to show up as your authentic self? God, that is like, it just shows me how messed up our brain is.
Exactly.
And when we call people brave, it's because you know that you're not confident in walking down the street without makeup on.
Yeah.
It's more telling about how you feel about yourself and not, and less about the projection that you're putting on somebody else. That's clearly just showing up in their most authentic self. So I think it's like, we need to celebrate that we have voice.
Yes.
That we're, there was a certain time and point where, maybe you would be forced to look a certain type of way, or you might feel pressure beyond what you feel now. But now I know there's certain women that feel empowered without makeup, and there's people that feel empowered with makeup.
Exactly. And the carry. And it's the energy that they carry.
Exactly.
Even if you can have a whole full beat face and still be insecure, and that energy radiates, right? And you can sense that shit when you walk in the room, right?
Exactly.
So,
and I think it's about that too.
Yeah.
Working on yourself. And that video just showed me that it's very telling. Like, you tell more about yourself than you did on that lady.
Exactly.
And, at the end of the day, she went on to getting married to somebody that she loved, and went on to celebrate with her family that saw her in her most authentic self, and she felt good. And shouldn't we all be happy that's a great story? And I think it's just the most thing that, even while we're doing this video, is to highlight that, yeah, even though we're two women that are here with a full face of makeup, it's the conversation goes beyond that.
Exactly.
I understand that, there's a work to be done with all of us. And, there'll be times when I would hope that I would be with somebody that accepted me in every form. But then my authentic self looks like this.
But you don't go around bashing somebody for not wanting to wear makeup.
Right.
present themselves in their natural form. You know,
right. Because my beauty is not coming from a place of insecurity.
Yes.
It's coming from a place of empowerment.
Exactly.
And understanding my tools and my magic. And if your magic looks different, then that's great. Like all the more power to you.
Exactly. That's essentially what it is. And,
we'll probably have like a part 2 this video.
Yeah. But for me personally, I have a way different relationship with makeup than I, used to. And I'm so, thankful for that because it's brought me a long way. And there's some days where honestly, I don't even want to put anything on, right? That day I just want to be my bare self and I feel good. But every day, whether or not I want to play and create my own magic in that mirror, or I want to just show up with minimal and just maybe cover up my blemishes, I want to make sure that what's in here and how I'm feeling about myself is radiating through anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you have true self-love, you're not going to radiate hate,
insecurity
and judgment on others.
Yep.
Like, I think it's so sad and very heartbreaking to witness. She even came back and made another video, a follow-up video explaining herself. And she's so sweet. Like, this woman is literally the definition of what beauty is to me. And I'm not going to judge her because I love to freaking put on red lipstick. Like, right. That's not something that she dabbles in. It doesn't mean that I am better or I'm prettier. No. And so we, as women, we can be so crude to each other sometimes, and it is, you're right. It's because of the competing aspect of, who we are and what we made out to be in this world. But we have to really just remember that does not define who you are.
Right.
Makeup does not define you at the end of the day. When you put everything down and you wash your face, how do you really feel? Can you look in the mirror and look at yourself in the eyes and really see your beauty? Can you truly say to yourself, I'm beautiful? Because that's what matters at the end of the day. And those words that I saw were not beautiful, and we just really have to be honest with ourselves. And all the makeup gurus, we have to just be like, okay, it's a bombarded and it's a double layered perspective. And we just got to really just dig through that and really see what it is about. Like, okay, hon, like, where is it at? And maybe it does take time because with age, I've learned new ways of doing things, and new ways of doing makeup. And so maybe it does take time for people to develop and become about this energy that you carry, and be this confident about yourself.
All this comes back to saying that we have a lot of work to do and we have a lot to unpack when it comes to the competition in makeup. And we're more than happy to dive into a part 2 where we kind of dive even deeper into the implications of makeup and wearing it, not wearing it. But I think over 3 million views.
Oh my goodness.
And all those comments was just crazy. And I think it just spoke loudly to, what we women really need to talk about, which is, how we judge ourselves, but also what it means to show up as your authentic self and what beauty means. Because a lot of us clearly have a very skewed view.
Yeah.
So with that being said, celebrate your choice, celebrate, the way that you feel most beautiful. And that's something that we reiterate in our channel every single time, which is it's all about what you bring from within and portray outward. It doesn't, like, all of this facade, it can be what it is. But at the end of the day, how are you going to win when you ain't right with it?
For real.
Once again.
So
it all loops. It all connects. So, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for another cute little sweet episode of Mad Mix.
Yes, you guys. And I really hope you can hear us over the wind. But,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But we'll catch y'all on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Much love.
Bye.